Hey guys, welcome to episode number 568. Today is Monday, so it's Update Monday, and today we have a lot more to do down in the fish room. We are going to be transforming this into this. We've got some plans to look at. We've got a couple contests to talk about, so definitely stay tuned for the entire video. But before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And if you want to help support this channel, you can always go check out myaquariumbox.com. Alright, we got a lot to do down here. We got some stuff to build. We're going to have a lot of fun. So come along with me and learn how to be a better aquarist. Alright guys, and here is the finished product. We made 3 different DIY Pleco slate caves, and they're all slightly different dimensions. And what I went ahead and did was I wrote the dimensions on the sides of the caves so that it would be easy for us to look at these and talk about the size of each piece of slate that went into building these 3 caves. Now, when I built these, I used the good old GE silicone #1 clear, and that seems like it worked really well to hold these together. It's been 24 hours since I put that on, and it looks like it's fully cured. As you can see, there's some on the outside. I'm sure I could probably take that off if I wanted to with a razor blade, but I'm not too concerned about it. When I push those together, you can probably see in the video clips, I sort of sandwiched them and pressed them together as best I could, and some of these are better connected than others. There is a little bit of float between the 2 pieces, and when I say float, I mean that there's quite a bit of silicone in some places, which completely separates the 2 pieces of slate from actually touching, which isn't a bad thing. That's how glass aquariums work as well. And this is certainly pretty much indestructible at this point in terms of its construction. There's a lot of surface area here between the pieces of slate, and each piece of slate on the bottom actually has a little bit of a texture to it, so that gives even more grip for that silicone to attach. But what I also did was I did a quick test with super glue, and I just took 2 pieces of scrap slate and super glued them together, and that seems like it's just as strong of a bond, maybe even stronger than the silicone. So if you're looking to create a cave like this, you can either use the GE silicone #1, or you can use a cyanoacrylate super glue, and it looks like that works just as well. So that was a nice test to do, important to show that. I also made a mini piece of driftwood slate because I thought it was sort of adorable, and I just had these laying around. So yes, wood also attaches really well to slate when you use a bunch of cyanoacrylate super glue. So cool little thing to mention there. All right, let's move on to these caves. But before we do, I did make this sled, which is a guide that I had created because I thought what I was going to do was finish these edges, either finish the individual pieces of slate before I glued them together, or finish them afterwards on the tile saw by putting this in the sled and then running that edge, 45 degrees to sort of cut the edge there, to sort of round off the edge a little bit. I decided not to do that. I thought it was an unnecessary step. It is something that I could do in the future. Obviously, I have the tool here available to me that I created, and essentially all that was a couple pieces of 2x4s or 2x6s that were just wood glued to a piece of scrap plywood, and these are just cut at a 45-degree angle so that this can sit at a 45-degree angle as it goes through the tile saw in the sled to cut off all 4 corners. All I would have to do is flip this and then flip it and then flip it, and then all of those corners would be rounded off. I may still do that in a future video. This is basically the simplest version of this cave that you can do with just all flat cuts. Really easy to do, really quick to cut, and there's really nothing you can mess up in the process. So as long as you have the right dimensions, these things go together really quick. All right, so let's talk about these 3 caves. I think this one's probably a little too big. This one is a little awkward in terms of its dimensions. This one is actually the one that I like the best in terms of use for like bristlenose plecos. And so the individual pieces of slate, the dimensions of the individual pieces, not the completed piece, but the individual pieces of slate which make up this cave. This one is 5.5 inches by 2 inches. This is 5.5 inches by 1 inch. And you've got 2 of each one of those to create the tops, the bottoms, and the sides. And then the back is 2 inches by 1 3/4 inches. And as you can see, the bottom goes on first, then the 2 sides go on, then you put the top on, and after you've got that, then all you have to do is put that back piece on, and you're good to go. You're done. So that is probably the best size, I would say, in terms of like a bristlenose pleco cave. For your smaller plecos, I think they would do great in a cave this size. Now, probably the most important dimension on here is the 5.5 inches long. I think this is important if you're using a 12-inch by 12-inch tile or a 12-inch by 24-inch tile like I was using. If you cut 5.5 inches long, or even 5 3/4 inches long, that's going to allow you to get 2 of these when you're cutting the tile. So this one, for instance, is 7 inches long, so I was only able to get 1 of these out of that piece of tile. So in order to maximize the number of caves you can make per tile, 5.5 inches is a good thing you could aim for. The blade is going to be like 1/8 inch, so you're going to lose some there. So 5.5, 5 3/4 is a good length for that cave. So this is the first cave we have. The next one up is similar, and this one is slightly bigger. It's a little bit bulkier. I would say this would work for some of your medium to large size plecos. Maybe not like your common bristle nose, but this one is 5.5 long, again, by 2.5 inches wide. So you can see that extra width here. That extra 1/2 inch width is pretty substantial. And I found this when cutting these tiles, that even adding like a 1/4 of an inch or a 1/2 inch gives it a whole different feel. So 5.5 by 2.5, and then this is 5.5 by 1.25. So again, we step up from 1 inch to 1.25 tall, and it does make quite a difference. And then on the back, we've got 2.5 by 2. All right, and the last one, and this is the granddaddy, the biggest one of the bunch, was 7 inch by 3 inch on the top and bottom, 7 by 1.5 on the side, and then 3 by 2.25 on the back. And I don't know that I would go much bigger than this. Not unless I had something like full-grown common plecos or something like that. This is a pretty big cave, and when you're breeding plecos, you want something that fits the male pleco really well. Like, he wants his fins to be touching the sides and the top, and his length, to take up the majority of that cave. Otherwise, he's not going to feel secure in guarding the eggs, and it's less likely to be used as a home. All right, so these are the 3 size caves that we've got. Let's go throw them in the aquarium and see what they look like. Alright guys, I think these caves turned out really nice. It's definitely something that's pretty cheap, pretty easy to manufacture in bulk, and if you're looking to breed your own plecos, it's a really good DIY solution to allow you to create many caves for a very low price. You can pick up tiles by the case, cut them all to size, glue them all together, and within a couple hours you can have dozens and dozens of caves. I think the important part is just making sure that you find the right size cave that works for you and which maximizes the tile that you're cutting, so that you don't have a lot of waste at the end when you've cut your tile all the way down. So one other really important part to note about these caves when you're building these is to make sure that the bottom of these caves is completely flat. You don't want any edges sticking up, you don't want anything protruding, you don't want any pressure point on the glass of your aquarium, especially if you have a bare bottom tank like this. So having a nice flat slate with a nice flat bottom with no points, nothing sticking beyond, makes something like this really easy to put in a tank and spin around, position wherever you need it, and leave it alone. Obviously, any of these sharp corners is something that can crack your glass, so you want to be careful when handling something like this, especially taking it in and out of the tank, that you're not bumping it up against the glass or dropping it on the bottom of your tank. Slate is very heavy, and a sharp edge like that can create a really quick pressure point to break your glass. So keep that in mind as you're building these things. They're a little bit heavier, they are a lot more robust than caves that you may be used to buying, so you just want to take a little extra care when handling these things in and out of your tank. But that is the Pleco cave. Alright, and next up we have this lovely piece of driftwood on a piece of slate. And if you watched my video from 2 weeks ago when I made this, you would know that I ran a quick contest for one lucky person to win one of the pieces of driftwood and slate that I put together in that video. So I put all of the comments on the video through a random number generator. Here we are 2 weeks later, and the winner is Tim Fisher, who wanted this piece of spiderwood on a slate. So Tim, send me a message with your shipping information and I will get this lovely piece of spider wood that I made in the mail to you so you can enjoy it in your tank. Alright, and as we are mentioning contests and prizes, I am super proud to announce that the Greg Jones Online, the Greg's Fish Room YouTube channel just reached 30,000 subscribers. It's taken a long time to get here, but we sort of go at our own pace. And as a thank you to the YouTube community, to everyone who's watched my videos, what I want to do is offer one person the chance to get their next fish room designed by me. So, what does this mean? Well, it's open to anywhere in the world, and here's what's going to happen. Whatever space you have right now, or whatever space you're moving into next, all you have to do is put a comment in this video down below and say, I want a fish room. And if you do that, then you'll automatically be entered. In 2 weeks, I will randomly select one person anywhere in the world. I'll contact you, and whether you're building a fish room right now, whether you have a fish room and you just want to make it better, or whether you're moving into a new place down the road and you want to save this one and use it a little bit later, anything goes. Let me know what your space is, and what I want to do is help you design your fish room. So, if you need help designing a rack system, if you want recommendations on what kind of plumbing and how to, create an automatic drip system, whatever you want to build for whatever fish you have or would like to get, I will help custom design a fish room specifically tailored to your space and specifically tailored to your needs. It doesn't mean I'm going to go out and buy it all. It doesn't mean I'm going to fly to you and build it all. I would of course love to do that, maybe for 100,000 subscribers. Maybe we'll do something like that. But for now, I will help in whatever way I can to help you design the fish room of your dreams. So, obviously I've got a lot of experience building these things, and obviously you have a lot of experience by watching all of my videos, so I want to work with you to help design that fish room. So, down below in the comments, say, I want a fish room. That's all you have to do, and you'll automatically be entered. In 2 weeks, similar to this one, we'll be randomly selecting someone from the comments. I'll reach out to them, and hopefully we can get that fish room designed, and hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as possible. Alright, let's move on to the next project. Okay, so speaking of spider wood, you may recall this experiment that I set up a few months back to plant azalea seeds. Now, spiderwood is more commonly known as just the azalea plant, and when you buy a piece of spiderwood, what you're buying is basically the roots of an azalea tree or plant, shrub, whatever it is. Here are the seeds. They're very small, and a few months back I purchased some seeds. I put them in these DIY seed starters, and nothing really happened. I did spray them with water every single day for a month or two straight, and I just never saw any growth out of any of these containers. And I probably put at least 2 or 3 seeds in every one. Now, what I'm thinking happened is it just didn't stay humid enough. What I probably should have done is just taken a piece of plastic wrap and pulled it over the sides here to keep this a nice, moist, humid environment for these seeds to have the best chance at sprouting. Well, they didn't sprout, so we're gonna toss this aside and we're gonna start over. We're gonna do it the right way, and hopefully this second pack of seeds will actually germinate and we'll get some azalea plants. Ideally, what I want to do is transplant these, put them in the greenhouse in the spring, see how they do, maybe move them outdoors permanently and allow them to grow in the backyard for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and every year just pull 1 or 2 out of the ground so we can see the progress and see how large that root structure has gotten. Sort of a long-term test, little scientific experiment to see how long you need to let an azalea plant grow before you can harvest it for its roots to be used as spider wood for an aquarium. All right, so let's set this aside and let's see if we can replant these in the proper setup. Alright guys, now like I mentioned, we have our azalea seeds. That's going to go in one of these trays, and in the other tray we have something a little different to plant. Now, if you guys are familiar with our website, shop.myaquariumbox.com, you may know that we sell alder cones, which are great for use in shrimp tanks. They're great to use to add tannins to your water, your betta aquariums, anything where you need to condition your fish to spawn, you want to lower the pH or add tannins to the water. Alder cones are a great thing to add. And as it turns out, as we bag pounds and pounds and pounds of these alder cones, we get quite a few alder seeds. And I mean a lot of alder seeds. So alders are a tree, and their seeds are very, very tiny as well. And so I figured, I collected a bunch of these seeds in a spare bag that I had. I might as well plant one of these full of alder seeds, the other full of azalea seeds, and see if we can get some alder trees to grow. Maybe at some point down the road we'll get some alder cones from those alder trees. Who knows? And then we've got the azalea spiderwood experiment over here. So I'm going to start both of these down here in the basement. Let's get planting these, and then hopefully this spring we can move these outside once they've started to grow. Now, an important part to these planters is that they have these tops, which maintains the humidity within these planters. So we're gonna go ahead and plant all of these seeds. We're gonna spray them down with water one more time, and then we're gonna cap them off with these tops, and then we're just gonna put them under, fluorescent light and see what happens over the next few weeks. So we'll definitely track this experiment. Hopefully it works out a little bit better than the last one, but let's get planting. Alright guys, and that's gonna do it for this week's video. I swear I can build a DIY Pleco cave with my eyes closed, but the hardest part of the whole video is just putting those stupid lids on those seed planters. I do not have a green thumb on either hand, but I have a greenhouse now, so I have to keep trying. It's one of my New Year's resolutions, so I'm gonna keep trying. Hopefully we can get something to sprout in those planters. Hopefully we can transplant that outside this spring. I'm really looking forward to all the fun we're gonna have out in the greenhouse with aquaponics plants, with bonsais, with breeding fish outdoors, with koi, goldfish, whatever's gonna go in that pond. We're gonna have so much fun. But we've had our share of fun for today. We built some DIY Pleco caves. We gave away this piece of spider wood, and we've got a 30,000 subscriber contest going on, in addition to the plants that we just looked at. So, with all of that being said, make sure you enter to win the 30,000 subscriber contest. I'm really looking forward to helping someone build and design their fish room of their dreams. So definitely, if you missed that part of the video, rewind it, go find it so that you can see the details, or look in the description down below. But anyways guys, that's gonna do it for this week's video. As always, we've got a long winter in front of us. It's not over yet. We've got a lot more to do down in the fish room to help renovate it, and I'm looking forward to doing more of those projects with you next week. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you want to see weekly videos like this from me. And if you want to help support this channel, you can always go check out myaquariumbox.com. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later.